Welcome to a conversation with a community leader, sponsored by Leadership Kitsap. I'm Cary, Bozeman, your host. I'm the former mayor of Bellevue in Bremerton, Washington, and my guest today is Shea, who is the executive director of the Hazelwood/Silverdale YMCA.
Yes,
Harold,
thank you.
Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to a conversation with a community leader.
Appreciate it.
And you are well known throughout this community and have established that YMCA as one of the premier recreation facilities in our entire community for sure.
Thank you.
So lots to be proud of, and I'm looking forward to our conversation because I'm an old Boys and Girls Club guy and spent 25 years doing exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
And I know you and I both feel the same. It's a passion in our life, and it's a great way to live your life and to make your living at the same time.
Absolutely.
So thanks for being here. Let's kind of talk a little personal stuff. Where are you from? Where'd you come from? What's your background?
Sure. Born in raised in the Seattle area, right by Green Lake, and grew up there with youngest of 6 children, and kind of learned my recreation from my family.
What'd your father do?
My dad is.
Or your mom and?
Yeah, my dad was a manager at Boeing, and worked his way up through Boeing, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom for a number of years, and then went and was head of religious education at St. Catherine's Elementary School and Church for years before retiring.
So you're a good Catholic. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you walked around Green Lake a lot in your life?
I have walked around, jogged around. When I was at Blanchette High School, once a week in PE class, we had to run around, and if you needed an A, you had to run it in 25 minutes or less.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Do you remember how long it is?
Just a little over 3 miles, yes.
No, it's a little less than that.
Well, it felt maybe like 5 to me.
I always thought it, because I've walked around it a million times in my life.
Yes.
And used to run in my old days, but I think it's 2.8 miles, but
Yes.
could be more. But
Yeah.
it's what a great place to grow up.
Absolutely.
You were very fortunate to grow up in that part of the community. And you have 5 brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Oh, are they all still in the area?
Everybody but my sister. She's in California. But yes, and I grew up with basketball hoop in our backyard, and so our backyard was the neighborhood place for recreation.
Were you an athlete?
I was. I played college basketball at Shoreline Community College, and then my wife was a cheerleader at Shoreline Community College, and then
Is that how you met?
we did meet that way.
Yeah.
It worked out perfect. Been married for 29 years now.
How tall are you?
6'2".
Oh, you're 6'2", so you were a guard or something like that?
You would think. I was actually a forward,
Oh, you were
and
a forward.
we had a fantastic duo of guards there, and so I, surprisingly enough, was the defensive specialist and led our team in rebounding at 6'2".
So what led you then from high school, Shoreline Community College, being an athlete, to the nonprofit world that you're in now? How did you get into this work?
Great question.
What directed you to where you are today?
Yeah, a lot of it was what growing up and my family giving back to the church. We all volunteered at the church. We set up bingo every Tuesday night and volunteered. My dad volunteered and coached all of our teams.
Wow.
And that's 6 kids. And so then when I was old enough that I was refereeing the little kids' basketball games at the church, and I started running basketball camps at age 16. At Green Lake Community Center and at the church that
Which is still there, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah,
They're going to
fantastic.
do a big remodel on that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I read that in the paper. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, and so it was important for me that I wanted to give back, and when I was going through Central Washington University, I was looking at either being a PE teacher and going back and doing that at the high school level, and I found this degree in recreation management, and I thought, what a perfect fit to be able to go back and be. To me, was one of my mentors was Malcolm Boyles at Green Lake Community Center, and so I thought, gosh, I want to be a Malcolm Boyles.
You know, Harold, your background and mine are so much the same. I went to the local boys club in those days at Wallingford, and there was a director there that, and I'm trying to think of his name now, that I admired, and I used to think I want to have his job someday.
Yes.
And I went to the University of Washington. I got a degree in education. I thought I wanted to go teach and eventually coach, because I was also an athlete in high school. And then I had been working part-time at the boys club when I was going to college. And when I graduated, I had a teaching contract on my desk. I was going to be I was going to teach at Ty Junior High in Bellevue. And it was sitting right on my desk for me to sign to start next fall. And the boys club director at the time came into me and said, our current director's leaving, we'd like to offer you the job. And I took it and never looked back, and stayed in Boys and Girls Club board for 25 years. So, boy, your background and mine sound a lot alike. So, went through Central Washington, got a degree in recreation management. Then what happened?
Very similar to yours. So I called one of my high school teammates, and Kelly McLaughlin, and his dad was an executive director at the Boys and Girls Club, and I said, hey, Kelly, any positions?
You remember about what year that was?
That was in 1993.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
And I called Kelly, and he said, actually, I'm going to be leaving in 2 weeks, and there's a sports director job available. And so I came up there, and they offered me the position. Very similar backgrounds, and 15 years I worked my way up through the Boys and Girls Clubs in Snohomish County, and then I moved to open up 2 Boys and Girls Clubs in Arizona.
I'll be darned.
Yes.
And so working for my old friend Bill Sakalis up there, and another one of my old employees, Terry.
Oh my gosh, Terry! Yes, Terry was at the Everett Boys and Girls Club for years.
Yeah, yeah, and I think did a couple of clubs on the reservations too. I think worked with the tribes.
Yes.
With the Boys and Girls Club. Okay, you're with Boys and Girls Club. How'd you get over to the YMCA?
Good question. So during my time at the Boys and Girls Club in Scottsdale, I was volunteering on my off time on coaching teams at the YMCA. So my children liked to...
What YMCA would that be?
That was the Scottsdale YMCA.
Oh, you were living in Scottsdale at that time?
Yeah, running the Boys and Girls Club.
Running a Boys and Girls Club.
Yes. So
I have an old friend that ran Boys and Girls Clubs down in Scottsdale area too. I'll have to think of that name.
Yeah, Jim Stratton was the...
Yeah, I remember Jim Stratton.
Jim Stratton was the president and CEO there. And,
he was.
Yeah, and so...
Gary
Yazwold?
Yazwold was there. He's an old friend. They're
Yes.
both old friends of mine.
Yeah, we know the same people.
Yeah,
That's
we do.
great.
That's great.
So I was volunteering at the Scottsdale YMCA because my son wanted to play year-round basketball at the Boys and Girls Club. We had one season was basketball, the next season was soccer, and so on and so on. So I was actually volunteering at the Boys and Girls Clubs for about 8 years before I...
Well, you were still working at the YMCA.
I was still working at the Y. So yeah, spending all my time in pretty much supporting youth programming.
Okay, and we'll complete this circle now and then start talking about what you're currently doing. What gets you from Arizona back up here?
Sure. So after I started at the YMCA in Chandler, and I started running the Chandler Gilbert Family YMCA in sports, and then moved my way up to executive director and then regional executive director. Unfortunately, my dad was having some health issues, and my family's all here in the Seattle area, except for my sister, as I mentioned. And I thought, you know what, it's time to start looking to come back and be closer to family. And so I had a great opportunity. I looked at jobs at the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, and a opportunity of a lifetime came available at the Hazelwood Family YMCA to be the executive director.
Are you the first director of that YMCA?
No, I'm the second. Jeff Ball was our first executive director, and Jeff moved up to a regional executive director, actually interviewed me the first round, and then he's now with a different organization.
What year did the Hazelwood, and I'm good friends, I've known the Hazelwood family for a long time. So what year did the club open? What year did you build it?
2011 was, the summer of 2011 was our first year.
Okay. What's the mission of a YMCA? What's your mission?
Yeah, it's to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build a healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. And the big part of that is, I believe, the last 2 words, for all. And it's one of the things I love about the YMCA. Boys and Girls Club, we're the positive place for kids, 6 to 18-year-olds. Big difference for me going into that job was being open 7 days a week and having from newborns all the way to seniors.
Right. So the why, I always want to ask this question. I don't know the answer to it. The why had a Christian affiliation.
Yes.
Is that currently still part of the Y's mission?
It is, and it's kind of changed over the years, but it definitely started that way, actually with Bible studies in London. And in 1844 is where the YMCA first came into being a Y, and it spread out, and about 7-8 years later it came to the United States. But we actually have a chapel inside the YMCA on the second floor.
Oh, you do?
We have a mission coordinator.
Wow.
So kind of the one thing is every YMCA is a little bit different, but there is YMCA's that have a full-time even chaplain. We have volunteer chaplains at our Y.
Yeah, but everybody's welcome.
Everyone's welcome.
Yeah, no matter what your affiliation.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this great club you're running. How many members do you have, and what does it cost somebody to join the Y?
Wonderful.
Is it affordable?
It is, because we don't turn anyone away regardless of inability to pay.
Okay.
And so we have just under 19,000 members, and a little over 2,000 members are on financial aid there.
19,000, that sounds like a really big club. Is it?
86,000 square foot building, and it is very full. We average anywhere from 3,500 to over 4,000 members a day.
Are there many clubs in the country bigger than that?
We have a few in our association, absolutely.
Really?
Yes, but we are one of the largest, and just it's a gem. It really is.
Yeah. Are your part, the Hazelwood YMCA is part of, is it called Pierce County, or what is it called?
It used to be, it's now Pierce and Kitsap counties.
Pierce and Kitsap County. So
Yes.
you're part of that organization.
Yes.
How does that work?
So we have an association office in Tacoma, and we have 9 what we call family branches, and throughout we go all the ways to Sumner, Puyallup, all the ways to Silverdale.
So that organization has 9 branches.
Yes, and 2 campsites.
And 2 campsites.
Yes, we just opened up a new campsite this summer, and then Camp Seymour has been there for years and years and years.
Right. So that organization has the board.
Yes.
What would they call it? The corporate board or something like that?
Yeah, you can. There's terms of board of directors, governing board. They are the policy maker at the association office, and then every one of the branches has a local advisory council.
So you have an advisory council.
Yes.
How many people serve on that?
We have just a little over 20, including high school, a couple high school
Oh, you
students.
do? And they meet once a month?
We do.
They meet. Do they have much to do with actual policy around the organization, or does that mostly come from the corporate, or whatever you call it, the governing board?
Yes, it all comes from the governing board at the association office. They have input, but ultimate say on that is that governing board. We definitely listen to our advisory council members. Each one of them is a member of the YMCA as well. We have superintendents, sheriff departments, judges, lots of people. It's just a diverse group of volunteers that want to make a positive difference in our community.
So who's your boss?
So my boss is a regional executive director that oversees the West region, and his name's Jose Grosby. And Jose oversees our branch in Gig Harbor, Bremerton, us in Silverdale, and then the campsites.
Now, Gig Harbor has a big club, new club too, right?
Absolutely.
How are they as big as Silverdale?
It's very interesting, Cary. If you actually go into the YMCA in Gig Harbor and ours, it's the same floor plan. And
yeah,
so,
I haven't been in that one, but I assume so.
yes, they have had an addition about 6 years after they opened. They actually added a youth gym, and so they have a separate large gym just for youth, a large teen center. We don't have that addition. We probably don't have that space. We'd have to build up because of the property that we're on.
Yeah, I always thought teen centers idea to me kind of like senior centers. I'm a senior, but I don't like senior centers, right? I think I want to be with a variety of ages of people in whatever I do in life. I don't want to be with a bunch of people my own age. That's why I can't imagine living in a retired gated community in Arizona. You know, I mean, the talk would be the same every day, right?
Right.
They'd mostly be complaining about things or something like that. Let's talk about your facility. I've been in it a couple times, and both times I've been in it for meetings. You have a nice meeting facility upstairs. It's just been jammed and packed and lots of stuff going on. How big a building is it? What are the facilities? What did it cost you to build it? Let's talk about your facility.
Yeah, good question. The cost of the construction certainly has gone up. We're actually in a capital campaign right now for
Are you going to add on?
We're actually, our first branch, our Morgan YMCA, that's just on Pearl Street in Tacoma, that facility is just about at its breaking point, and so a new facility is being built and capital campaign is going on right now.
How big?
That is going to be a little over 100,000 square foot building, so even larger than ours.
Oh. Okay.
So that'll be nice.
So what did it cost you to build the building, and how'd you raise the money?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know.
Because you've got someone's name on that building.
Yes, the Hazelwood family YMCA, Mr. and Mrs. Hazelwood gave a gift, very large gift, and we wanted to honor that and be able to put their name on that. And as you know, because you've been in capital campaigns as well, there's a lot of people that came through in the community that wanted to have the YMCA built. It actually, from what I understand, because it was before I came back into this community, but I've heard the stories of it. First was the vision was a 30,000 square foot, and then it said, well, people from the community said, well, we want to add a gym, and then they want to add a pool, and so it got moved from 30,000 to 50,000 to the 86,000 square foot facility we have now.
That's how big it is now.
Yes, the key to our success is the staff and volunteers that we have. We have as many as 343 employees just at the Hazelwood Family YMCA.
Wow, that's a huge staff.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So I depend on.
I would assume most of those are part-time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But that's a big payroll.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about programmatically inside that 87,000 square feet. What are you doing in there?
Almost everything that you can think of. I mean, just even on group fitness classes, we have 165 group fitness classes going on a week. We have prenatal classes. We have classes in our fitness room, women on weights. We have parent classes. We have teen classes, tween classes, senior classes. We have two programs I'm really passionate about is our inclusive adaptive movement program. Absolutely free for people in the community of diverse abilities that can come to the YMCA, and it's all supported through our annual campaign.
You mean diverse abilities or disabilities?
No, diverse abilities, yes.
Is that a word? I haven't heard that word before.
Yes, yes. The language changes often.
It does.
But,
what does it mean?
And it's those people that, well, I'll tell you what happened was one of our community leaders came to the YMCA and said, the school district does a wonderful job with those of diverse abilities and has great programs, but after they graduate, there's not much for them to do in Kitsap County. And said, YMCA, will you do something? And so we have classes on land and do exercise classes, mobility classes. It's also great for these people to get together. We have people from the age of 19 to in their 70s that are working together with our staff and volunteers to do activities. We just had a Halloween bash. Our staff joined and did some dancing, and then when they had a luncheon, a potluck. We've even tried swim classes as well. And so, again, and I mentioned, but it's absolutely free.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. I'm a member of the Y. I go to our smaller little Bremerton Y, which I love, and I walk around the track and I do a few things like that. And so, yeah, I've been a member of the Y for a long time. It's a great organization. Do you do daycare or summer camps for kids and that kind of thing?
absolutely.
You do that?
Yeah, and we have a preschool program right now, a non-licensed preschool program. It's called Little Learners, which is absolutely fantastic. We have one class that is 2 days a week, one that's 3 days a week, and we actually have a waiting list for that.
I'm sure.
And then we have kids that, especially with the relationship that we have in partnership with the school district, it's wonderful for parents to drop their kids off before school and then walk right up to Central Kitsap Middle School or high school, and they come right back down at the afternoon, and then we have programs for those kids as well.
Do you use the schools for any of your programming, or do you do it all in-house in your building?
Great question. We have a huge child care program that utilizes schools across Pierce and Kitsap counties. Absolutely, we utilize those schools.
What do you do about transportation?
Well, the nice thing about those schools is that the kids just go right from their classroom right into that next room, and so the parents will drop them off and pick them up. During summer, we have buses, and so we will either use our child care buses or we will rent school buses to go out on field trips.
Yeah. You know, I've been in that business a long time, and the most popular from parents' standpoint are the child care and the summer day camps and things, because most parents are working.
Absolutely.
And there's no one at home. So that's just a godsend for most of these parents. You got a big swimming pool. How do you program that? I know a lot of seniors, a lot of adults like to get in there and get fit, but I'm sure there's other things for kids. Water polo, what goes on in your swimming pool?
Great question.
Because you got a big pool,
Absolutely.
almost 50-meter pool.
Yes, absolutely. It's a beautiful facility. And if you
pools are expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, as soon as you build them. Yes, but one of the things that the YMCA is passionate about is drowning prevention. And so one of the great things that I love about our association
is we have a lot of water around here.
Lots of shoreline, and it's important to prevent drownings, and we do that at the YMCA. Your Bremerton YMCA has a fantastic program that every third grader gets free swim lessons, and so the school district actually buses kids to the Y, teaches them how to swim, and then they head back to school.
That pool's an interesting pool because that pool used to belong to the city.
Yes.
And we were able to put a thing together, and now the Y, and I think rightfully so, appropriately so, is managing the pool.
Yes.
For the city. It was the city's, now it's the Y's.
Yes, exactly. So at our YMCA, I'm proud that we have about 1,500 people, 1,500 a session that are taking swim lessons at the YMCA.
Wow.
It's unbelievable, from in parent-child classes all the ways to seniors and adults taking classes. We have a program called Floating Beyond Fear, where they are just deathly afraid of the water. And matter of fact, it's a great story because the instructor of that took that class years ago, and now she's one of our lifeguards and teaching the class of teaching people how to swim.
Is the pool stay pretty full? I mean, pretty occupied? I mean, you don't have a lot of downtime in that pool?
Yeah,
would that be fair?
That is fair, and certainly my mother-in-law loves swimming, and she likes to look at online and find out exactly when our low times are for use, so she can be able to get a lap lane to swim.
Do you run any youth sports leagues or anything like that, or do you leave that to the Little League and junior football leagues and all that? Do you organize any of those kind of things? We do. Like junior basketball?
Yes, we have basketball, and if you don't know, the YMCA, and Dr. Naismith was a YMCA employee and invented basketball. So certainly it's something we're proud of.
There's another story that there's somebody else who's claiming that, but I think I think Naismith and the Y are the correct ones.
Yes, yes, definitely. So we do have sports programs: indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, basketball, flag football. A lot of our sports are recreational sports, and will start even with the preschool age and go up. And then, just like you mentioned, Little League does a fantastic job, and there's other organizations that do a fantastic job on the competitive level. But the YMCA is where a lot of people learn to swim and learn to play sports.
I remember, I'm going to date myself here, but a long time ago when I was running a club, and the parents' interest in basketball there were really young kids coming in and wanted to play. So we started this league for 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, I forget what it was. And we made the baskets only, rather than 10 feet, just 8 feet. And we put a scoreboard up in the gym, which was a mistake. And most of the time the game would end up 3-2. Or something like that. And I remember telling our athletic director, why do we need a scoreboard? Most of these kids don't even realize that there's a score going on. They're just out there running around. Right. And we took it down and we closed it off. And it was the best thing we ever did, because the people that worried about the score were the parents.
Absolutely.
It wasn't the kids.
Absolutely.
And it turned out to be great. And we also put in a rule that said there could be 10 kids on a team, and every kid had to play you had to start a quarter and finish a quarter, and so you had to play 50% of the time, and our participation just went off the roof.
Yes. Because
all the parents weren't coming down and watching their kid on the bench and not getting in the game.
Yes.
And that was the best thing we ever did.
Cary, it's exactly the same way we do that. And so if we have that score clock on, it's about the minutes of the game and the quarter. But certainly if that little kid scores their first shot, but they went on and shot at the wrong hoop, we're going to high five and celebrate them, and then help them. You're shooting on that end.
Right.
But
exactly.
But yes, it's exactly the 50% playing time that we want. You play that first and third quarter for basketball, and then the second and fourth is going to be a new group.
Okay, I've got a million questions to ask, and I'm running out of time, but sure. I know part of your job is you got to raise the money to pay the bills and to keep the doors open. what is your hour? What are your hours of operation, and what's your budget?
Good question. So we're open 7 days a week, and we open up at 4:30 in the morning. And
7 days a week, you open up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, and we close at 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
That's a long day, and it's 7 days a week.
Yes.
But that's great.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
and
great.
We have a little over a $9 million budget. I'm just finishing up the budget process for 2020, and it's just a little over $9 million to run that facility.
Does that all come out of the people in this community and the participants? Are you getting some resources from the Tacoma-Pierce County relationship?
Absolutely.
Are you raising all your own money here locally?
We raise locally, but we definitely have the support of the association. So we've got a fantastic development team that does a great job for us and helps us raise money. Charlie Davis, our CEO, is absolutely fantastic and a pleasure to work for.
How much of your time do you spend raising money?
I would say everything I do is about the impact of the YMCA. And so I would say if I'm going out and making the ask is a little bit of it, it's telling the stories.
Well, I think you also mentioned that your staff, everybody that works there, has some responsibility for trying to assure that the organization is funded.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
I think that's a good thing.
One thing I do want to share real quick is we at the YMCA, I'm proud of this, for every dollar that we have donated, we give out $2 in financial aid.
Yeah.
Unusual.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yes.
Harold, you're a leader of a large organization that has a big impact in our community. Well, how would you describe your leadership style?
I lead by example. I enjoy every day that I am at the YMCA. We talked about that a little bit earlier. I'm blessed. My mom says that I'm the only one of the 6 kids that likes going to work.
Right.
I felt that way for 26 years.
Exactly.
And so I enjoy it, and I want our staff to enjoy it. And so we really focus on the staff experience, the member experience, and if we can have those positive experiences for both, then I'm doing a great job as a leader. My big focus when I came in was the staff morale and to build a community around the YMCA. When somebody said, hey, you know what, we're going to do something in the community, I wanted them to think, who should be at the table is somebody from the YMCA.
Is there anything I haven't asked you, Harold, you'd like to share with the people real quickly?
I would just share that we have a fantastic facility, but what I'm most proud of is our staff. Our staff and our volunteers that just make the YMCA the experience it is. And we just would welcome everyone to come in. As I said, the last 2 words of our mission statement is for all, and it truly is. So everyone is welcome at the YMCA.
Harold Shea, it's been a pleasure to have our conversation.
Thank you.
You are truly a community leader making a difference. This has been another episode or a show of Conversation with a Community Leader, hosted by Leadership Kitsap. I'm Cary Bozeman, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Leadership Kitsap is our community's civic leadership program. Leadership Kitsap fosters and empowers educated, prepared, and engaged community leaders. For over 25 years, we have cultivated leaders that work collaboratively to create positive change, dedicated to making our community a better place to work and live. We expose our class to Kitsap's leaders across public, private, and nonprofit sectors. We're happy to bring many of the conversations with these leaders to you. Strong leaders build strong communities.